Sitting here in the year 2016, it's difficult to realize that a little over 100 years ago, there was a war in the United States. Now, I'm not speaking of the Civil War, but rather the Indian Wars, which lasted from 1854 through 1890. The United States was hell-bent on destroying the Native American culture and justifying it using the perverse thing known as manifest destiny. There were many bloody battles, many suppressed because it cast a negative light on the United States of America, as well it should. I don't know if it is taught in school any longer, but most of us are familiar with the Battle of Little Bighorn, where the Native Americans scored quite a victory. Little Bighorn was the battle where General George Armstrong Custer and his men were outnumbered and annihilated. Until recently, I didn't realize that there was a survivor of that battle. His name was Comanche, and he was a brave cavalry horse. I happened across the following account in a copy of This Month at Goodspeeds from May 1931. Goodspeeds was a rare book and document seller in Boston, and their catalogs are a wealth of information. The following article accompanied their sale of a number of photographs of Comanche, and I quote, "When Comanche came at last to Valhalla, he entered a conversational circle in which Napoleon's Marengo was holding forth with tales of his old campaigns. And Marengo was saying, 'I remember that morning at Austerlitz,' at which point Comanche interrupted. 'I remember that day on Little Bighorn,' he said. Then he told the story that we should all like to hear, but never shall, because the only survivor of Custer's last fight spoke a language that was just so much Greek to the troopers with whom he spent the rest of his days.' And so we must read memoirs and reports and recriminations and never come very close to the truth about the fight of June 25th, 1876. On the back of this photograph of Comanche is pasted a small broadside containing General Orders Number 7 from the headquarters of the 7th U.S. Cavalry at Fort Abraham Lincoln, Dakota Territory, April 10th, 1878. They begin, "The horse known as Comanche being the only living representative of the bloody tragedy of Little Bighorn, June 25th, 1876. His kind treatment and comfort should be a matter of special pride and solicitude on the part of every member of the 7th Cavalry to the end that his life be prolonged to the uttermost limit. Wounded and scarred as he is, his very existence speaks in terms more eloquent than words of the desperate struggle against overwhelming numbers, of the hopeless conflict, and of the heroic manner in which all went down on that fateful day. It was ordered that Comanche have a special comfortable stall, should never again be mounted nor put to any kind of labor, and thereafter, on ceremonial occasions, should parade with his regiment, saddled, bridled, and draped in mourning." The catalog continues. In addition to this photograph of Comanche, we have one of the Deadwood coach, that fabled chariot that used to rumble into that bad little town in Dakota Territory, where Wild Bill Hickok discovered the aces and eights were unlucky for him anyways, end quote. An interesting entry from this famous seller. By the way, the images were selling for only $6. Not bad for an original historic image that today would command a large price indeed. The story of the Battle of Little Bighorn and the story of Comanche is but one in a multitude of bloody battles that effectively destroyed the Native American culture. I think if it's not taught in school, it should be taught, but it should be taught correctly, that manifest destiny was a horrendous thing used to annihilate an entire culture. Anyways, thank you for listening, and just a short note about a brave horse in a very horrific military campaign.